I never thought betrayal could taste like gravy and cranberry sauce. But there it was, served up hot on Thanksgiving, right in the heart of my in-laws' sprawling McMansion in suburban Connecticut. My husband, Ethan, the golden boy of Greenwich finance bros, rose from his leather armchair like he was announcing a merger, not the end of our 8-year marriage. "Kylie," he said, voice slicing through the chatter like a broker's cold call. "These are for you." He slapped the divorce papers down on the linen tablecloth, inches from my plate, the manila envelope smacking against the silverware with a finality that echoed off the vaulted ceilings. The room went dead silent, forks hovering, Aunt Rita's wine glass tipping precariously, everyone's eyes on me, waiting for the explosion, the tears, the classic wifely meltdown. But I didn't scream. I didn't throw the turkey at his smug face. Instead, I set my fork down gently, wiped my mouth with the embroidered napkin, and met his gaze with a smile that felt like ice cracking underfoot. "Thank you, Ethan," I said, my voice steady as a heartbeat in a boardroom. "I've been waiting for this." The words hung there, a grenade with the pin pulled. And before anyone could process the absurdity, his mother, Evelyn, the queen of pearl-clutching wasp propriety, lunged across the table, her manicured hand cracking across Ethan's cheek like a thunderclap. "You fool," she hissed, her face twisting in a way I'd only seen in old family photos from her debutante days, when the world still bent to her will. "What have you done?" Ethan staggered back, hand to his reddening face, his Brooks Brothers poise crumbling like cheap drywall.
"Mom."
"This isn't," but she cut him off with a glare that could curdle cream. And the relatives erupted, Uncle Ted sputtering about family values, Cousin Mia filming it all on her iPhone for the inevitable group chat meltdown.
"Me?"
I just sat there, the papers untouched, my smile holding like a poker face at the win in Vegas. Because in that moment, as the chaos swirled around the crystal chandelier, I knew this wasn't the end. It was the spark. The match to the fuse I'd been nursing in the dark corners of my soul for years. You see, Ethan and I weren't the glossy Instagram couple everyone thought.
"We met at Yale, me."
The scholarship kid from a Rust Belt, Ohio trailer park, clawing my way through poli-sci on caffeine and spite. Him, the legacy admit with a trust fund that could buy small countries. He swept in during junior year, all charm and craft IPAs at the frat bar, whispering about how I was different from the step-forward sorority girls. We married right after graduation, in a vineyard ceremony upstate that cost more than my parents' house. I traded my dreams of investigative journalism for a supportive role at his hedge fund, event planning,
Schmoozing client.
playing the perfect arm candy at galas in the Hamptons. It was the American dream, gift wrapped in Patagonia fleeces and Tesla leases. Or so I told myself. But the cracks started small. Late nights at the office bleeding into dawn client dinners, whispers from his assistant about that new analyst, Brooke. I ignored it, buried it under PDA bake sales and yoga retreats, because admitting the truth meant unraveling the life I'd built brick by brutal brick. Then came the real gut punch, the one that turned suspicion into a slow-burning rage. The affair wasn't just some midlife itch. It was calculated. Brooke wasn't a fling, she was his escape hatch. A younger version of me, sharp, ambitious, unscarred by the compromises I'd made.
And worse?
She'd been in our bed, our home, while I was out covering his ass at those endless fundraisers. I found out 6 months ago, not through some cliched lipstick on a collar, but a forgotten email on his laptop during a rare weekend away. "Kylie's too settled," he'd written to her. "She doesn't get the game anymore. With you, It's fresh. We could run this firm together. Attached, spreadsheets of our joint assets, divvied up like poker chips. With me getting the scraps, the mortgage on our Westport Colonial, the Subaru with the dented fender, alimony that wouldn't cover my student loans. He'd been planning this for a year, siphoning funds into a Cayman account, forging my signature on a power of attorney that made me look like the gold digger. The betrayal wasn't just emotional, it was financial warfare, the kind that leaves you homeless in the land of the free. But that wasn't the deepest cut.
No.
The real knife twisted when I dug deeper, hacking into his cloud backups like the nosy ex-journalist I was. There, buried in encrypted folders labeled Old Business, was the truth I'd suspected but never voiced, the insider trading scandal from 5 years back. Ethan's genius trades that ballooned our nest egg overnight? They weren't luck. He'd tipped off a buddy at Goldman, shorted a pharma stock right before the FDA recall hit. The SEC sniffed around, but it was me who took the heat, me who confessed to a minor paperwork error in a plea deal his lawyers engineered. I did 18 months probation, community service at a food bank in Bridgeport, while he skated free, promoted to partner. For us, Kylie, he'd said, kissing my forehead as I signed the papers. To protect our future, I'd borne his crime like a scarlet letter. All so he could keep climbing the ladder of American excess. Evelyn slapped that Thanksgiving wasn't just maternal fury, it was the first crack in the facade they'd all worshipped. As the paramedics, called by overzealous Uncle Ted, checked Ethan's injury, a red mark that faded by dessert, I slipped upstairs to the guest room, the divorce papers clutched like a talisman. My phone buzzed, a text from Brooke, of all people. Heard about the drama.
Sorry it went down like this.
Call if you need to talk. The audacity burned hotter than the mulled wine downstairs. I didn't reply. Instead, I opened my laptop, the one with the anonymous email drafts I'd been composing for months. The revenge wasn't going to be a scream in a dining room. It was going to be a slow bleed, a takedown so surgical it would leave scars no concealer could hide. Downstairs, the family dispersed like smoke after a firework, Evelyn retreating to her Valium and violin sonatas, Ethan nursing a scotch in the study, muttering about ungrateful bitches. I joined the cleanup crew, stacking plates with mechanical calm, fielding pitying glances from Mia and Rita. You okay? Rita asked, her Botox smile wobbling. Better than ever, I replied, loading the dishwasher like it was a confessional. By midnight, I was back in my car, the papers on the passenger seat, driving the winding Merritt Parkway under a moon that looked like a bruised knuckle. The radio played some Springsteen dirge about broken highways, and for the first time in years, I felt the weight lift. Not gone, but shifting. From victim to architect. The next morning, I filed a counterpetition in Stamford Superior Court, citing irreconcilable differences and, buried in the fine print, fraudulent inducement. My lawyer, a shark named Lena from the Women's Bar Association, grinned when I handed her the email printouts. This is dynamite, Kylie. We can bury him. But burial was too merciful. I wanted him to dig his own grave, one lie at a time. Step 1. Leak the insider trading docs to a contact at ProPublica, anonymized through a VPN in Toronto. Step 2. Cozy up to Brooke. Play the wounded bird to draw out her gloating confessions. Step 3. The real fun, turning Ethan's own network against him, starting with his mother. Evelyn called me at dawn, her voice a tremolo of apology and intrigue. Darling, come for tea. We need to discuss. I agreed, slipping into a sheath dress that screamed, poised professional, not jilted wife. Her sunroom overlooked the Long Island Sound, all wicker and water views. But the air crackled like a storm front. He was always impulsive, she said, pouring Earl Grey with hands that shook just enough to spill a drop. But this? Public humiliation? It's beneath us. Beneath us. The phrase that had haunted our marriage. The invisible line I'd crossed by being born without a silver spoon. I sipped,
Smiled.
and said, impulsive? Or calculated? Evelyn? Like that paperwork error 5 years ago. Her eyes widened, bingo. She knew. Of course she did. She'd co-signed the lawyers. By the time I left, I'd planted the seed. Ethan's recklessness wasn't new. It was a pattern. One that could drag the family name through the tabloids. Think of the grandchildren, I murmured, touching her arm like a daughter-in-law should. She nodded, lips thin as a razor. Phase 1 complete. As I merged onto I-95, my phone lit up with a ProPublica reply. Tips appreciated. Details. The game was on. And for the first time, I wasn't the one holding the losing hand. The weeks after Thanksgiving blurred into a haze of depositions and dark web dives. The kind of routine that turns a Westport housewife into a ghost in her own life. Ethan moved out to a bachelor pad in Stamford, a sleek condo with skyline views and a fridge stocked with protein shakes, while I rattled around our colonial like a marble in a shoebox. The kids, our twins, Lily and Max, 7 years old and oblivious since the shift. Their questions like tiny knives. Why is Daddy at the cool place with a pool?
Ide pastaon na Smila.
Pack their lunches with organic turkey and avocado. And whisper. Grown-up stuff. Bug. But we're a team. Always. Lies. The currency of survival in this polished corner of America. My days filled with the minutiae of war, combing Ethan's socials for slip-ups. He posted a yacht pic from Miami. Hashtagged new beginnings. Brooke photobombed in a bikini, classy. Forwarding tips to Lena about offshore accounts. And playing nice at the twin school events. The Greenwich Academy Winter Fair was a minefield of minivans and microaggressions. Moms in Lululemon side-eyeing me like I'd grown horns. Heard about Ethan. One whispered over the hot cider stand, her diamond studs glinting like accusations. Such a shame. Men. Am I right? I nodded, stirring in cinnamon, and replied. Shame?
Nah.
Liberation. Her laugh was forced, but the seed stuck by pickup. The PDA chain was buzzing with Kylie's handling it like a boss. Meanwhile, Brooke reached out again. This time with a lunch invite at Le Bernardine in the city, neutral ground. She claimed to clear the air. I accepted, slipping into Manhattan via Metro North, the Hudson blurring past like forgotten promises. She was all highlights and high-waisted jeans, perched at a corner table overlooking the rush hour chaos, her apology as rehearsed as a TED Talk. Ethan's an idiot, she said, spearing her seared scallop. I never meant to hurt you. It just happened. Like a stock crash or a parking ticket. I ordered the tasting menu, let her ramble about work-life balance and how she'd always admired me. Then dropped the bomb over dessert. Admired enough to know about the pharma short? The one I pled guilty to. Her fork froze midair, foam dripping onto porcelain.
What?
That's ancient history. Not for me, I said, voice low as the subway rumbled below. 18 months of my life.
Brooke.
While you two played house on my dime. She flushed, stammered about not knowing the details, but her eyes darted to her phone, texting him. No doubt.
Perfect.
By the time I cabbed back to Connecticut, Lena had a recording app pinging with my discreetly captured audio. Admissible? Maybe not, she texted. But leverage? Gold. That night, as the twins built Lego empires on the living room rug, I poured a glass of Napa Cab and toasted the mirror to the women who rebuild from the rubble. Ethan's counterattack came swift, a cease and desist from his firm landing in my inbox like a gut punch. Defamatory statements, it accused, threatening to impugn my professional reputation.
Goo.
As if reputation meant shit when you'd built it on stolen sins. I forwarded it to ProPublica, adding fuel, Ethan's emails to a consultant in the Caymans, timestamps matching our happy anniversaries. The reporter, a grizzled vet named Harlan, called that afternoon. This could blow up big. Kylie. You sure? His voice crackled over the line from DC. All gravel and gravitas. Blow up. I laughed. A sound sharp as shattered glass. Harlan. I want it nuclear. But revenge isn't a straight shot down the merit. It's detours through doubt. Nights when the house creaked like it was judging me. Or when Lily crawled into my bed post-nightmare, murmuring, "Don't let Daddy go away forever." Breathing in the strawberry shampoo scent, and wonder if I was the villain here, trading their stability for my scorched earth justice. Ethan's mom helped tip the scales, her weekly teas evolving into strategy sessions disguised as book club. He's seeing that harlot openly now, she'd spit. Passing the scones. Parading her at the club. My bridge partners are appalled. Idinot. Sip my chamomile. And murmur. Appalled is good. Channel it. By Christmas, she'd accidentally forwarded me Ethan's firm calendar, full of private meetings with investors ripe for poaching. The holidays hit like a freight train. We did the joint custody thing. A tense dinner at Evelyn's where Ethan showed up in a cashmere sweater. Brooke exiled to the Hamptons lest she spark a scene. The twins tore into presents, Barbies for Lily, a drone for Max, while adults exchanged barbs wrapped in tinsel. Merry Christmas, Kylie, Ethan said, handing me a gift-wrapped box, a first edition of The Great Gatsby, inscribed to new chapters. Subtle as a sledgehammer. I opened it, revealed the book, and said, "Thanks. Reminds me of you, charming on the surface, rotten underneath." The table froze, Max giggled, thinking it a joke. Evelyn's eyes narrowed, a silent ally forged in fire. Post-Christmas, the leaks started dripping. A Bloomberg blurb on alleged irregularities at Ethan's fund. No names but the dates matching our wedding anniversary. His phone calls ramped up, first pleading, then pissed. What the hell are you doing? Kylie? This could tank everything. Tank everything. Like he hadn't already torpedoed ours. I let him rant. Voice calm as a 401k statement. Just protecting my interests.
Ethan.
Like you taught me.
Click.
By New Year's, Brooke bailed, a tearful voicemail about toxicity and needing space. Schadenfreude tasted like champagne bubbles, fizzy and fleeting. But the real unraveling came in January, during a custody mediation in a sterile conference room off Post Road. Ethan arrived with his shark, a pinstripe suit named Victor, all bluster about parental alienation. I countered with Lena's folder of exhibits, the emails, the recordings, the Cayman wires. Victor blanched. Ethan sweated through his Oxford shirt. "This is blackmail," he hissed as we broke for coffee.
No.
Darling, I replied, stirring in cream. This is accountability. The mediator, a no-nonsense boomer named Hargrove, adjourned early, muttering about further discovery.
Outside.
Snow flurried like confetti from hell, and for a split second, Ethan grabbed my arm, hard enough to bruise. You think you can destroy me? I'll take the kids. I'll bury you. His breath reeked of black coffee and desperation. I wrenched free, heart pounding like a bass drop at a Bush concert. Try it, I whispered. See how deep this rabbit hole goes. Driving home, the wipers slapping rhythmically, I pulled over at a rest stop, hands shaking as I dialed Harlan. Ramp it up. Full expose. That night, as the twins slept, I pored over the insider files again, the plea deal, my mugshot from the courthouse database, a ghost of probation anklet and hollow cheeks. I'd borne his crime for love, for family, for the myth of us. Now, I'd exhume it all. Let the maggots feast. February brought the storm. ProPublica's piece dropped on a Tuesday. Hedge fund heist. How one firm's genius trades masked a decade of deception. Ethan's name in bold. My confession dissected like a frog in bio class. The markets dipped. His firm issued a denial presser. But the damage spiderwebbed. Calls flooded. Reporters. Old Yale buds. Even my estranged mom from Ohio. Voice quavering over the line. Saw it on CNN. Kylie girl. You okay? Okay? I was a live wire, humming with vindication and vertigo. Ethan showed up at the house that night, unannounced, pounding the door like a repo man. The twins were at Evelyn's, thank God, and I let him in, the Arctic air trailing him like a bad omen. He paced the kitchen island, Ty Askew, ranting about ruined deals and SEC audits. You did this, he accused, jabbing a finger. You crazy bitch. I leaned against the granite, arms crossed. Crazy?
No.
Betrayed?
Yes.
And done playing nice. He lunged then, not to hit, but to grab the laptop where the files sat open. We tussled, a blur of elbows and epithets, until he backed off, wild-eyed. This isn't over.
Door schlimm.
Silence. But it was just beginning. As sirens wailed distant in the night, cops? Fire trucks? Who knew in this insulated bubble? I poured another glass, the headlines scrolling on my phone. Revenge wasn't sweet. It was seismic, shaking loose the lies we'd all swallowed. And as the fault lines widened, I wondered, who would crumble first? Spring crept into Connecticut like a hesitant debtor, crocuses poking through the thawed lawns while Ethan's empire wilted under the spotlight. The SEC subpoena hit like a March gale, agents in off-the-rack suits raiding his office, carting servers like spoils of war. He called me from an undisclosed location, his parents' guest house. I later learned, voice a raw wire. Kylie.
Please.
The kids. They need stability. Stability. The word curdled in my mouth, bitter as the kale smoothies I'd choked down during his business trips. They needed a father who didn't lie for a living, I shot back. Too late for pleas. Lena advised caution. He's cornered animals lash out. She wasn't wrong. Ethan's counterstrike landed via Victor's latest filing, a motion to reduce alimony, painting me as vindictive and unstable, complete with psych eval recommendations and affidavits from concerned colleagues swearing I'd unraveled post-separation. The psych eval was a joke. A 2-session farce with a shrink who looked like he'd moonlight as a golf pro. But it stung. dredging up my probation days. The therapy mandated after the plea. Unstable, they called it. I called it survival. I fired back with everything, the full audio of Brooke's lunch confession, timestamps on the siphoned funds, even Evelyn's reluctant deposition. My son has always prioritized ambition over ethics. She delivered it in Lena's office. Pearls clutched like rosary beads. Her voice a patrician quiver. For the grandchildren, she repeated, eyes on the twin school photos I'd propped on the desk. Ethan retaliated by freezing the joint accounts, leaving me scrambling for a helic on the house to cover the Montessori tuition. American justice. Pay to play, even when you're the one bleeding. The media circus peaked at a charity gala in April, the kind of black-tie bacchanal where Wall Street washes its sins with seven-figure checks. I'd RSVP'd months ago, back when I was still the dutiful wife.
But now?
Armor up. I slinked in on Lena's arm, her plus one. A power move, in a crimson gown that hugged like a second skin. Hair swept into a chignon that said Ice Queen. Ethan was there. Of course. Schmoozing donors with a forced grin.
Brooke's absence a glaring void.
Our eyes locked across the ballroom. Under the crystal avalanche of chandeliers, his narrowed. Mine held steady. A duelist stare. He cornered me by the silent auction. Champagne flute in hand. The scent of his cologne, Acqua di Gio. Same as our honeymoon, hitting like a sucker punch. Come to gloat, he muttered. Low enough for plausible deniability. I swirled my bubbly, bubbles rising like accusations. Gloat?
No.
Observe. Your kingdom's crumbling.
Ethan.
Fils familiar. He leaned in, breath hot. You think you're winning? The board's circling, yeah. Me too. But drag me down, and I'll pull you under. That plea deal? One call to the feds. And your victim card's revoked. Threat laced with truth. He'd always been the flipper. Charm to venom in a heartbeat. Before I could retort, Evelyn materialized, her arm linking mine like a vice. Darling, she cooed, loud for the crowd. Such a pleasure, seeing you thrive. Ethan stiffened. The donors nearby perked up, whispers rippling like pond stones. She steered me away, hissing under her breath. Don't engage the beast. Over oysters at a high top. She confessed. He's plotting a buyout, selling his stake to a rival firm. Pinning the scandal on a scapegoat. Some junior analyst. Misdirection. Classic Ethan. But now I had the thread. That intel fueled my next move, an anonymous tip to the rival firm, Ethan's old Yale rival. A prick named Donovan, who'd always eyed his spot. I routed it through a burner email. Details sparse but tantalizing, insider knowledge on Harrington's vulnerabilities. Meet. The rendezvous was a dive bar in Bridgeport, all neon buzz and stale peanuts, where Donovan slid into the booth opposite my ball cap and hoodie disguise. Talk, he grunted, nursing a bud. I slid a USB drive across the scarred wood, Ethan's trading logs. The ones with his fingerprints all over. This gets you the fund. Clean. His eyes gleamed.
Shark-like.
What's your angle? Vengeance, I said simply. And a cut of the chaos. Back home, the twins' spring break was a bomb and a battlefield. We escaped to my sister's in Portland, Oregon. Not Maine, the rain-slick streets a far cry from Greenwich Gloss. Aunt Jenna, with her tattooed arms and microbrewery job, hugged me fierce. Screw him.
Key.
You're the badass here. We hiked Multnomah Falls, the kids splashing in mist while I breathed deep, the roar drowning my doubts. But Ethan called daily. Custody barbs disguised as check-ins. Max needs his father figure. As if drone building with a sitter wasn't enough. I hung up, scrolled Zillow for rentals, downsizing to a condo in Darien, closer to the train for whatever job came next. May brought the twist I hadn't seen coming. Harlan's follow-up piece dropped, not just on Ethan but the whole rotten ecosystem, how elite firms shielded their own plea deals for the powerful, wives like me as collateral. It went viral, Twitter threads from Me Too vets, op-eds in the Times calling it the Gatsby Reckoning. My phone exploded, podcast invites, a book agent sniffing tell-all potential. But buried in the praise was poison, an interview snippet from Ethan. Leaked to page 6, Kylie was complicit. She knew everything. Played the victim for sympathy. Lies. But sticky ones. Painting me as Lady Macbeth in Louboutins. The backlash hit hard. School pickup turned frosty. A mom's glare over the minivan hood. An email from the PTA chair. Perhaps a step back from committee duties? I laughed it off to Lena. But inside, it festered. A reminder that, in America, the betrayed woman is always half the villain. That's when Brooke resurfaced, not as foe, but fragile olive branch. She showed up at the house unannounced, rain-soaked and red-eyed, clutching a bottle of rose like a peace flag. Can we talk? Really? The twins were at soccer. I let her in, wary as a stray cat. We sat on the patio, the sound choppy under gray skies. And she spilled Ethan's flip, blaming her now for the leaks. Threatening to expose her own indiscretions, a coke-fueled weekend in Cabo. Petty, but prosecutable. He used me, Kylie. Just like you. Sisterhood in the ruins. I poured the wine, listened, and saw the opportunity. Help me end it, I said. Testify. The full affair. The funds. She hesitated, then nodded, tears mixing with mascara. For payback. We hugged. Awkward as exes at a funeral. But real. Betrayal's strange alchemy, turning enemies to uneasy allies. Ethan's counterstrike peaked in June. A bombshell motion to the court, primary custody, citing my media circus as endangerment. Hargrove scheduled an emergency hearing, the room thick with tension like a jury box. Ethan took the stand first. All earnest dad mode, photos of him with the twins at Disney. Voice cracking on stability. Victor hammered the instability narrative, flashing headlines with my name. Then my turn. I walked up, heart hammering, and laid it bare. The plea, the fall, the public divorce as the final straw. I protected him once, I said. Eyes on the judge. No more. For my children. I fight clean. Brooke's affidavit sealed it, sworn under penalty, detailing the sabotage. Hargrove ruled joint custody. No changes, but the damage lingered. Ethan cornered me in the hall post-hearing, face ashen. You win this round. But I'm not done. His eyes held something new, not rage, but ruin. Pity flickered, unbidden. As I drove away, the twins' drawings taped to the dash, I realized the counterstrike wasn't his alone. It was mine too. Every leak, every alliance, eroding the woman I'd been. Was revenge remaking me? Or just revealing the cracks? Summer solstice sun baked the earth. But my world cooled to calculation. With Brooks' intel, I fed Donovan the kill shot. Ethan's buyout pitch. Doctored to implicate rivals. The deal imploded. His firm suspended him pending investigation. Evelyn called. Voice shattered. He's broken. Kylie. Come see. I went for the twins, finding him in the guest house, unshaven. Scotch bottles littering the floor. Why, he croaked as Lily napped nearby. I knelt, close enough to smell the defeat. Because you made me the monster first.
No comfort.
Just truth. As I left, the sound glittering like fool's gold, I knew the real battle loomed. Not his fall, but mine rising from the ashes. July 4th dawned sticky and symbolic. Fireworks already cracking in the distance, as if the founding fathers themselves were cheering the carnage. Ethan's suspension went public, CNBC ticker crawling like a death march. His face plastered on trading screens from Wall Street to Waffle Houses nationwide. The calls poured in, headhunters sniffing for consulting gigs, reporters angling for the inside story, even a producer from some true crime pod floating betrayed in the boardroom. I dodged most, focusing on the home front, backyard BBQs for the twins, splash pads in Norwalk, normalcy stitched from the scraps of suburbia. But normalcy's a fragile thread when your ex's empire is unraveling via your handiwork. Donovan made good on the deal, slipping me a finder's fee through a discreet LLC, enough to pay down the Helic and fund a down payment on that Darien condo. Collateral, he called it over encrypted text, his laugh emoji a wink. I deposited it quietly, the bank teller's raised brow a small thrill. Ethan's flips accelerated. One day. Pleading voicemails. We can fix this. Kai therapy. A fresh start. The next. Vicious emails via Victor. Cease your harassment or face countersuit. The man was a weather vane in a hurricane, spinning from denial to despair. Evelyn mediated. Her tease now triage sessions. He's talking settlement, she'd say, stirring her lap saying sochong. Full assets. The house. Take it. For God's sake. Settlement? Tempting. Like a truce in trench warfare. Lena crunch numbers. I'd walk with the colonial. 60% of the 401k. Child support that covered Ivy League tuitions. A clean break. American style. Divvy the spoils and drive off into separate sunsets. But clean wasn't my color anymore. Not after the plea. The public papers. The night side cried myself raw while he yachted with her.
No.
The reckoning demanded spectacle. A climax to rival the summer storms rolling off the Atlantic. It built in August. Heat wave mirage making the air shimmer like bad decisions. The SEC hearings kicked off in Hartford, a federal courthouse that smelled of old law books and fresh desperation. Ethan testified first, suit hanging loose on his frame, voice steady but eyes darting like a cornered fox. A lapse in judgment, he admitted, pinning it on rogue subordinates, that junior analyst scapegoat, trotted out like a sacrificial lamb. The gallery buzzed. Journalists scribbled furiously. I sat in the back, incognito in sunglasses and a linen shift, heart sinking to the gavel's rhythm. My moment came mid-month, subpoenaed as material witness. The prosecutor, a bulldog named Ruiz with a Brooklyn accent cutting through the legalese, walked me through it, the trades, the tip-off. My plea. MS. Reynolds, he said, voice booming off the oak panels. Why take the fall? The room held its breath. Reporters. Ethan's bored cronies. Even a smattering of family. I glanced at him. 2 seats over. His jaw clenched like a vice. Love, I said simply. Or what I thought was.
Murmurs triple. Ruiz prest.
And now, I leaned into the mic, voice clear as a summer sky.
Now?
Justice. The cross-exam was brutal. Ethan's counsel, a silver fox named Hargrove, No relation to the mediator, painting me as bitter harpy. Resentment over the divorce fueled this vendetta. Correct, he sneered, flashing my ProPublica quotes like scarlet letters. Vendetta? I countered, unflinching. Call it reckoning. He built his career on my silence. I broke it for truth. The judge sustained half his objections, but the seed stuck, jurors nodding. A juror slipping me a sympathetic glance.
Outside.
Flashbulbs popped like fireworks. Headlines screamed, "Wife's Revenge Rocks Wall Street." Ethan's flip came post-hearing. A late-night ambush at the Colonial. The twins were at camp, arts and crafts in the Berkshires, and I answered the door in sweats, expecting a pizza delivery. Him. Instead. Disheveled in chinos and a faded Yale tee. Reeking of bourbon. "We need to talk," he slurred, pushing past. The kitchen island became our coliseum. Him pacing. Me perched on a stool like a sphinx. "You're destroying me," he said, voice cracking. "The fun's gone." Dad's rolling in his grave, heart attack from the stress.
You know that.
His father. The stoic banker who'd passed last fall, guilt's old trick. Dredging the dead. I poured him water, ice clinking like chains, and said, "You destroyed us first." The affair. The lies. Making me the criminal. He slammed the glass down, water sloshing. "I did it for us. The money. The life, better than your trailer park roots." There it was. The class dagger. Twisted deep. Ohio girl in the manor house. Always the outsider. Rage flared. Hot as the August asphalt. For us? Or for your ego? You flipped on me. On Brooke. On everyone. He laughed. Bitter bark. And you? Saint Kylie. Leaking like a sieve. Hypocrite. We circled then. Words as weapons, his sacrifices, my ingratitude, the twins as human shields. It escalated, him grabbing my arm, me shoving back, until Evelyn burst in. Key from the hook. Face thunderous. "Enough," she roared, wrenching him off. "You've shamed us all."
Ethan.
"Get out." He staggered, glared at us both, mother and interloper united, and spat. "You'll regret this." Door slam, silence thick as fog. Evelyn sank into a chair, head in hands. "He's lost," she whispered. "But so are we." I touched her shoulder. The first real warmth between us. Not lost. Found. The climax crested Labor Day weekend. A barbecue invite from Donovan, celebratory. He claimed, at his vineyard estate. I went alone. Sundress billowing on the ferry. The island's salt air a tonic. The party was Peak Hamptons, lobster rolls, rose spritzers, hedge funder banter under string lights. Donovan pulled me aside by the infinity pool, view stretching to the Atlantic's endless blue. "Your intel? Priceless. Funds mine now." He handed a check, 6 figures, discreet, to the victor. But as fireworks boomed over the dunes, Ethan appeared, uninvited, crashing the gate like a bad sequel. He stormed the deck, drunk and deranged, pointing at me amid the gasps. "Her. She's the snake. Leaked it all. Ruined us. Chaos. Guests scattering. Donovan's security muscle advancing." I stood frozen, the check burning in my clutch. Ethan lunged. Not at me but the pool, cannonballing and fully clothed, splashing champagne flutes like confetti. "Join me, Kylie, in the deep end." Madness or metaphor? Security hauled him out, dripping and defiant, Sirens wailing from Edgartown. I slipped away in the melee. Heart pounding. The ferry slicing waves back to reality. Back in Darien, the condo closing that week, I unpacked boxes to the news. Ethan's arrest. DUI and trespassing. Splashed across TMZ. Evelyn called at dawn. Bail hearing tomorrow. Will you testify?
No.
But I wired her the Donovan check.
Was that so?
Enough for lawyers. For the kids, I texted. Her reply, thank you. Truly, the reckoning wasn't fire and brimstone, it was fallout, radioactive and reshaping. As leaves turned, doubt crept in. The twins asked fewer questions. Adapting like rubber bands, I landed a gig freelance investigator for a boutique firm, digging dirt for divorcees. Poetic. But nights brought what-ifs. Had I gone too far? Polarized the world into Ethan's victims and my enablers? Brooke texted sporadically. Her own job hunt a mirror to mine. Worth it, she'd ask. Define worth, I'd reply. The SEC rapped. Fines crippling but no cuffs. Ethan's flips buying a plea. Community service at a financial literacy nonprofit. Irony. Served cold. October's chill mirrored the thaw in me. A custody swap at the park. Ethan pulling up in a leased Civic, downgrade from the Beamer, Max chattering about school. He lingered, hands in pockets. Hey, he said.
No venom.
Coffee sometime? Co-parent chat. I nodded. Neutral. Maybe. As he drove off. The twins waving. I felt the pole shift, not victory, but equilibrium. The revenge had peaked. But the echo? That was the controversial core. In pushing him to the brink, had I glimpsed my own abyss? November stripped the trees bare. Winds howling off the sound like unresolved choruses. And with it came the echo, the reverberations of reckoning that no court could quiet. Ethan's plea deal finalized, a $2 million fine. 3 years barred from trading. Mandatory ethics seminars that reeked of performative piety. He moved to a rental in Fairfield, closer to the kids, coaching Max's soccer with a whistle that cracked on the first blast. The tabloids lost interest, moving on to the next crypto crash or celeb split. But the scars? They itched, persistent as poison ivy. I settled into the condo. IKEA hacks transforming blank walls into a nest, framed Yale prints, ironic talismans. A reading nook for Lily's chapter books. A desk for my new gigs. The investigative work suited me. A journalist's itch scratched legally, tailing philandering execs. Unearthing hidden assets in messy splits. You're a natural, my boss. A wiry ex-cop named Sal. Grunted over IPAs at a dive in Norwalk. Got that pitbull stare. I clinked bottles, the foam hissing like suppressed laughs. Natural? Or forged in the furnace of my own forge? Co-parenting thawed to functional. Texts about dentist appointments. Drop-offs smoothed by the twins' chatter. Ethan showed up clean-shaven to Thanksgiving. Evelyn's Redux. Smaller spread in my condo kitchen. Turkey from Whole Foods. No drama. He even complimented the pie. Eyes lingering on me with something like regret. You look good.
Key.
Strong. I nodded. Passing the peas. Life's a grind. We adapt. Under the table. His foot brushed mine. Accident? Test? I shifted. The moment passing like a skipped heartbeat. Later. Washing dishes side by side. He murmured.
I'm sorry. For all of it.
Water ran hot. My response cooler. Actions over words. Ethan. But the echo deepened in December. as snow dusted the cul-de-sacs and Christmas lights twinkled like false hopes. Brooke reached out for real, a coffee at a Stanford Starbucks, her now blonde hair tucked under a beanie. Freelance graphic design her lifeline. Heard about the plea, she said, stirring oat milk into her latte. You did that. We talked hours. Dissecting the flips, his charm offensive post-arrest. Begging her back only to ghost when the checks bounced. We're both echoes now, she laughed.
Right.
Sisterhood solidified. We swapped war stories, her Cabo regrets, my Ohio ghosts. Regret the revenge? She asked, direct as a deposition. I paused, foam art melting in my cup.
Parts.
The collateral, Evelyn's health scare from the stress. The kids' confusion. But the core?
No.
He needed the mirror. The twist hit like a nor'easter. Unforecasted and fierce, a letter from Ethan. Hand-delivered via courier on Christmas Eve. Envelope sealed with our old wax stamp from the vineyard wedding. The twins were at his for the night, his Santa duty, leaving me solo with cocoa and a fire crackling in the electric insert. I slid it open by the tree, ornaments swaying gentle. Kylie, it began, script looser than his boardroom font. Writing this because talking's failed us. The falls taught me what you always knew. Ambition's a thief. Stealing pieces till nothing's left. I flipped on you not boredom, but fear. You were the real deal. Steady where I spun. The trading? My shortcut to match your grit. But it poisoned us. Brooke was the symptom, betrayal the disease. I'm not asking forgiveness. God.
No.
Just this. The Cayman account? I transferred it back.
Full.
For you and the kids. No strings. Consider it restitution or closure. Yours if you want it. Ethan. Enclosed, bank statements. $1.8 million untouched. My name's sole beneficiary. The echo roared, shock. Suspicion. A flicker of the old ache. Was this his final flip? Redemption arc scripted for absolution? Or genuine? The abyss staring back.
I sa till midnight.
Fire dying to embers. Weighing it like a jury. Call Lena? Wire it to charity? Burn it? Dawn broke crisp. The twins tumbling in with tales of reindeer dust. And I tucked the letter away. Heart a pendulum. New Year's brought decisions. I met Ethan at the park. Snow crunching under boots. The kids sledding nearby. The letter, I said. Breath fogging. He nodded. Hands jammed in parka. Meant every word. No games. Eyes met his weary.
Minewari.
Why now? Rock bottom.
And. Seeing you rise.
You're the better parent. The better human.
Pause.
Then, can we try friends? For them? Controversial ask. Blurring lines weed scorched. I glanced at Lily's pink cheeks. Max's whoops down the hill. Friends? Maybe. Co-parents? Definitely. The money, I'll use it for their college. And college for me too. Columbia journalism program starts fall. His smile cracked genuine.
A thaw.
You deserve it. We watched the sleds. Silence companionable for once. No grand reunion, too much ash for that, but a truce. Fragile as first ice. Evelyn hosted Epiphany brunch. Bridge partners gossiping subdued. The family mending like a quilt with mismatched patches. To fresh chapters, she toasted, clinking my mimosa. I echoed. The word lighter now. Spring 2026 bloomed tentative. My acceptance letter framed on the fridge. The echo faded to hum. Revenge's roar receding to reflection. Had I won? Polarizing justice. Ethan's humbled. But at what cost? The kid's innocence chipped. My trust fractured. Brooke's life upended. No one's wholly right. We're all flips in the wind. Decisions debatable in hindsight. I teach the twins now. Over pancakes. People mess up. Forgive smart. Not blind. They nod. Syrup sticky. Absorbing the gray. Graduation looms. Cap and gown in the closet. My byline in the Atlantic. Wall Street's silent wives. Bearing the burden. Ethan clips it. Text congrats. We meet for coffee sometimes. Awkward laughs over lattes. Co-parenting hacks exchanged. Not love reborn, but respect forged in fire. The controversial end? It's mine to debate. By tragic victory. Where vengeance heals as it harms. Leaving you stronger, scarred, and strangely whole. In America's grand, gritty narrative. That's the real hook, no tidy bows. Just the endless, echoing flip.